that forgiveness. You have to forgive because sometimes we're, as we're not looking for such a person. As you said, you went to the person, you said something, and the person flip it, flap it, turn it around
Mhm.
and change it completely and
Yes.
make it be a brawl. You understand? In church, at times, this is this. Let me tell you, as you're a young girl, and as we say, position, the title,
Mhm.
they don't think that, as I said, undermining. It's like an undermining spirit. You must not, if you even see something, what you know that you don't like what is happening there, or you're not that it's not working out, and you might go to the person as you say and you say to them. For them, you shouldn't come and say it because you shouldn't see anything wrong because you are young. You understand? You are young, and whether you are young, whether you are old, whether you are middle age, you understand? God have given you wisdom and He has given you understanding. He has given you knowledge. You understand? For you to know, right, the difference between wrong and right, right, and to know um what is not suiting or what is not or what is suiting. So in churches these days, what I realize, a lot of person wants to do what they want to do. Some some of them you can't talk to them,
Mhm.
right? And some, they will comply. But
Mhm.
as we say, there are many ways to be hurted in church. Many, many, many ways. All right.
Mhm.
I'm going to take this a little more deeper now. You
Mhm.
can be going to church. Take for instance a sister. I'm going to use a sister, and she's attending the church. Now, as I said, sometimes we forget that these people are still human beings.
Mhm.
We are supposed to know when we read the word of God, we're supposed to know what God requires of us. This is why we ought to read the word. We have to read the word to know what God doesn't want and what He wants from us, how we must live the will of God. So this is why the Bible is our textbook, our maths book, our English book, our geography book, and all the books you can think of for our salvation. Now, put it, say, a young girl, right? A church sister going to church nice and coming on good and going on good. And then there comes whether a brother in the church or a brother out of the church. And one thing lead to another. She think this guy was going to marry her, and she lead in the act of fornication. Now she's fornicating and fornicating until guess what? She gets pregnant. And when she gets pregnant, now what happened is we are not agreeing with fornication, right? Because the word of God talk about that. But guess what happened? That is your church sister.
Yep.
She is your church sister.
Mhm.
He is your church brother. So what are you going to do? You're going to call your church sister and you're going to talk to her. You're going to counsel her, right? And encourage her. You are going to tell her that, guess what, sis? You should not have done that. You should not have done this. You know that the word of God says this and says that. But nevertheless, my sister, it's already happened. All right? Talk to God. Who am I not to forgive you for this? God, you talk to God, God has already forgiven you. Okay? And instead of me doing that, or instead of us as Christians in the church doing that, we start to bash, we start to tear down, we start to say all manner of evil, we start to do this, and we start to do that, and we forget so we are human beings too. And we forget so we do make mistakes. Maybe it's not fornication, right? Maybe it's a lie, right? Maybe it's a lie. Maybe one day we take up something what don't belongs to us. But because that sister, right? The pregnancy came. So the pregnancy came would us expose her in a way to know that she was fornicating, right? She's not married. And then instead of encouraging her sister and showing her love and tell her that this is not the end of it. This is not the end of it. I'm going to pray with you. I'm going to pray you through this. And then you talk to, if you can get the brother to talk to and talk with and encourage him, say, guess what? You're going to have to marry to the sister. If it's a case of marriage, you're married to the sister. Or if it's not a case of marriage and you're not interested, you let him stay and take care of the child. So there are many, 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 many ways. There are times when people accuse people in church wrongly. They don't know if it's if something goes on and them accuse them. They accuse them wrongly. They say what, they come up with something, they might think it, say it's this when it's not this or it's that, So there are many, many ways to get hurt in church. But as I hear Minister says a while ago, guess what? We are in a war, and the adversary, who is the devil, is always there seeking whom he may devour. And we have to build this relationship with God to know the God in whom we serve. So it's a personal relationship, right? I hear you say, Sammy, that